Okay, sorry for being late, everyone. We'll start the meeting. It's 7 o'clock, and this is the June 23rd Board of Health meeting. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. There have been concerns since that time, some legal concerns, and those concerns are supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by Town Council. One concern is that chat function allows parallel conversation that cannot be tracked by cannot be seen by the participants, and it cannot be tracked by the chair. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which does not prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you were called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Okay, we are going to, this is a regular Board of Health meeting. If there are any COVID concerns, we can discuss them at the end, but right now it's just for Board of Health issues. Regular Board of Health issues, not COVID issues. So we want to talk about, the first thing I have is to talk about the meeting changes, time and day. This is the last Tuesday night meeting we will have, hopefully. We are trying to schedule for Wednesday nights, and they will be Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, and they will be every Wednesday night. Alternating nights will be a regular public meeting, a regular Board of Health meeting, and then is it the even nights, Janet? Even weeks will be for COVID.
No, opposite. Odd. The first and third will be for COVID. And second and fourth will be for our regular public hearings.
Thank you, Janet. But obviously, if a COVID issue comes up on a second and fourth week, we will talk about it. I'm not just going to wait for another whole week. And then, does anybody have any questions about that or comments?
The only question was on months with 5 Wednesdays, how you folks want to handle it. If you want to add that as a COVID meeting on a 5th, as in July, or if you want to skip it.
I would prefer to take it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if we could, let's skip it. I feel we could skip it unless there's something happening, we can change our mind, right? What do you guys feel? Do you have an opinion? Mike?
This is Mike. Yeah, I think your idea of having it sort of in our hip pocket if necessary, because we don't know what's going to be happening in later months.
Okay. Is that okay, Janet?
Yeah, maybe if I was thinking maybe if we just maybe plan on having it and then just pull it, a week out if there's no issues. That way you just keep it on the calendar and it's consistent and no one forgets or has conflict or whatever.
Okay, well, that's a good idea, Kevin, because then it will be scheduled if we need it, and all the people will be lined up. And if we don't need it, we can cancel it.
Yeah, like a week or 2 weeks out or something. I don't know. What do you think?
Probably the week before.
Yeah, we're also
Wow.
thinking, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just looking at some old notes here by accident. I noticed that there was something about wells. We were supposed to revisit wells and a whole bunch of, I mean, I don't want to make more of this than it is, but maybe we could use the fifth Wednesday of when the moon is high or low as an opportunity to report on our homework on whatever. Like,
I'm glad you said that, Mike, because I did see that. Like last week, I was going through my notes and I saw that. It's like, wow, we totally lost track of that.
well, we were distracted.
Right. Okay. So, Janet, can you put that on the agenda for maybe next week, the first week? No, the second. I'm going to
The
totally
second
miss.
Wednesday, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Jim, could you give us an update for any COVID-19 or the latest COVID-19 things you're working on?
Sure. So one of the good things, I think, this past week, we didn't have any cases in town, which is nice. So that's always a good sign. Hopefully that continues to be the case. Still, we're down at the beach today just because there was a concern about algae. Met with a gentleman down the beach. The water looks fine, but I did get a call from another resident on the lake. I'm going to send him some beach sample. We don't do algae testing on a regular basis because the permitting process for public beaches requires E. coli testing, and then other testing if we thought that was necessary. So at this point here, things look okay. We had a little bit of a scare a couple of weeks ago after the heavy rain we got and some windy weather. There was kind of an onshore breeze, and a combination of pollen and something else kind of made it look like there was an issue, but it turned out to resolve quickly.
Great.
Working with the camp, they've essentially finalized their plans. They did have a question today, and since we're talking about it, I figured I'd bring it up. And it kind of talked about, in the COVID camp plans, they don't want you taking off-site trips. They don't want you doing field trips. Given how warm the weather was, they were wondering if typically camp team walks the kids down to the beach for swimming period and walks them back. If you considered the lake part of the overall camp operation, you might be able to imagine that they should be able to take the kids down there for a swim. I think they could probably do it safely. They walk the kids down, they can keep them distanced, they can have masks on. The thought was to bring them down there in the morning time frame when the townsfolk really aren't on the beach. So I was there at 11 today. There seemed to be plenty of space on the beach. Their thought was if they brought a group of 10 down, they could kind of portion off a section of the beach, have the kids do swimming, then walk the kids back. I'm not sure what the board's feeling about that is. I think they can do it within all the public health protocols. I don't think that's an issue. And again, because historically the beach was part of the camp, they just kind of walked to it and walked back and forth. Whether you would consider that a field trip or an off-site trip, you could make the case that the beach was part of camp all the time. So,
Jim, do you foresee drawing a line in the sand?
Literally, or?
Yes. No, just between the public and the campers, or.
So what I was having some brief conversations with Tim from Park and Rec, and they would kind of line it off with stakes and string just so that there was an area, visible area for Camp T for when they go down, and then take it off when they're not coming down anymore.
So would they bring 10 children at a time all day long?
So no, just 2 periods in the morning. So because the beach doesn't seem to be that busy in the morning, they thought maybe they could get a couple of groups in. So they'd bring them down. They'd be like 1 hour blocks with the travel time. So the kids will probably get to go swimming, 40 minutes or so. So they at say 9 o'clock, they'd walk a group down. The group would stay till just about 9:45. They'd go back to camp. Another group would come down. They'd stay up till about 11 o'clock and then go back to camp.
So that means only 20 kids out of 100 can go swimming?
So again, they need to work out those details. It sounds like they were going to try to cycle the groups during the course of the week.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's one of these things where the warm weather, I'm sure they're thinking about the kids, particularly kids who have been to Camp T in the past. They know that the beach has been part of the camp, given how warm it is. And again, they do it on foot. They could certainly meet all the proper distancing. They've got the space at the beach. They've got the lifeguards to be able to watch them down there. I don't really see it as a risk.
Yeah.
Any more than camp is anyway, but
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel. I mean, as long as the parents sign a COVID waiver, holding them harmless for whatever, I think that's just fine. It's real hot.
yeah. Okay. Well, I can flesh out the details with John and Tim from Park and Rec, make sure that all works and stays within both the camp guidelines, COVID guidelines, and the beach COVID guidelines.
Okay, Mike, do you want to weigh in on that?
No, to me, this is an extension of everything else that's going on. So I don't see any reason. I haven't heard anything from Jim or anyone else that suggests that this is radically different when the kids are in the water and doing whatever kids do in the water. It's obviously going to fall on the folks who are with them to make sure when they come out that they're at least, organized. I mean, there's nothing here that's new, really. Just instead of sand, it's water and sand.
Do we need to take a vote on that?
It's up to you. I wanted to make sure you're comfortable with it before we went any further talking about it.
I think we are. Sounds like we all are. Those of us that are here today.
So if the board's comfortable with it, I'll just work out the details again to make sure they're in compliance before they start doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd make a motion if they can meet compliance and everything's in line. We allow them to take the kids down there.
I'm sorry, Kevin, could you repeat that again? You make a motion that if everything, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No, if everything's in compliance and Jim's happy with the organization of it all, that we allow them to take 10 campers down at a time to utilize the beach.
Okay, you want to make it official, Mike?
Sure, I'll second the motion.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
Kevin Baker, yes.
Mike,
Zeldin, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes. Okay. Anything else, Jim?
We're just kind of following up on some complaints, mask complaints. So I went by the CVS today. Again, I show up unannounced just to see how things are operating, and I've placed a call to the person who filed the complaint. Again, when I went in there, everybody was wearing a mask except for a person who was making a phone call. Probably made it easier to understand the person they were talking to, but that person was also far enough away from everybody. And then we had one from one of the restaurants in town about servers not wearing masks in the outdoor seating. So I will go up and address that with the restaurants. And I'll take the opportunity to make sure they're complying with the rest of the governor's phase 2, part 2 order also. And then, car dealership, we had some questions about what their cleaning protocols were for service departments. So I'll go in and chat with them and see what they have for cleaning protocols at that point.
Thank you. Okay. I had a question about the nursing home, Life Care Center.
Okay.
So their numbers don't seem to be going down at all. Seems to be the same number every week.
So the number that I report to you is the total confirmed cases. So that number will never go down.
Okay.
I can have Tamara give the nursing home a call and give you an update.
That would be great to see.
Okay.
It going down.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's a reported number. So if you look at the state, the Wednesday numbers from the state, same thing, they're reporting the confirmed cases.
Okay.
But let me talk to Tamara and maybe I can give you an update the next meeting about what's happening there.
And so that would be the same for the Littleton cases. Those are the total confirmed cases.
Total confirmed, correct.
Could you give us an updated number for that also?
I can do that, yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And do you feel, maybe, I know nursing homes are not really under our realm, but is there a way to find out if they would be ready for another wave? Do you feel like I know they take they have to, with the state, they have to comply with a lot of, every week they have to check in. Do you feel like they would be ready?
When you say ready, you mean, do you think we'll see cases there again?
If we get a second wave, will they be prepared to handle it better than how it was handled previously?
I would hope so. I know the state had some monies that they were, Governor Baker passed a bill, there's like $130 million that facilities could get to help them with staffing and whatever else if they passed certain protocols and certain inspection criteria. And I believe they met whatever the standards are. I think there was a couple of on-site meetings, and so I think they were in compliance, which tells me hopefully they're a little bit prepared and that somebody actually was in there taking a look to see that policies and procedures were in place. Short of that, I don't really know. One would hope that after having gone through that, that they're prepared. But
Right.
we were kind of hoping that that was the case at the beginning of all of this, given what had happened earlier in the country. But I can certainly have Tamara check in with Life Care and see where they're at.
Yeah, I remember reading on one of the governor's weekly postings that they have to check in with, I don't know, 15 or 18 different topics or.
Yeah, there was some core compliance or core competencies, and I think they had to meet them twice. I don't recall the entire process, but it was, and I don't know if it still is. The state has those reports that they do on the dashboard. One of those reports actually reported who met the core competencies. I'm not sure if that report is still up there or not for all the facilities in the state.
Because I was reading on one of them, it said that the Chelsea Veterans Home and the Holyoke were basically everyone had recovered. And it was so good to read that in black and white. And I would love to see that about the nursing home.
Okay. Well, I think, because I haven't heard anything, I think that's probably a similar statement. But before I say that for sure, let me have Tamara call and find that out.
Yeah, it would be good to post that on the website. I think people would appreciate it.
Okay.
I have a question for Jim. May I?
Go ahead, Mike.
This isn't related. Just remind me, or anybody else who's interested, is from the health board point of view, when does the flu season begin, and what is the time when the new round of flu vaccine will be available to, quote, address that?
I'm so glad that you brought up flu clinics. We're just waiting to do those, Mike.
I'm sorry. There's a reason. You probably know the reason why I'm asking the question now, and not in the middle of summer or something like that, right?
Sure. So, we've kind of taken a breath, and probably in the next couple of weeks, we're going to sit down and figure out. We've placed our order for flu vaccine. It normally comes into us late August, early September. We start getting batches of flu vaccine in. And so we, in the past, and this will probably all get mixed up this year, we normally try to do all the flu clinics in October. That just seems to be the month that it works for us. And it still seems to be plenty of time, because October, November, probably the start of the flu season. Typically it's been February has been the worst of the flu season. So again, it kind of fits within that. We need to figure out how we're going to do those clinics, in each town. I mean, physically do them, whether some towns would like to do a drive up. What does the current situation have us do as far as administering the flu vaccine? That's another one of those things we need to talk about. And then how we're going to go about, the locations and promoting them. So, and in the back of my mind, listening to the radio today, they were talking about possibly a COVID vaccine by the end of the year, beginning of next year, which means when that gets into production, you're looking probably at another round of clinics, if I had to guess. If it's anything like H1N1. So we may as well practice with the flu clinics to see how clinics for a COVID vaccine might be rolled out.
Yeah, I think the notion of a vaccine for the COVID virus is a fantasy, mainly because the first batches of vaccine are probably going to be reserved, or not reserved, but pointed to frontline healthcare workers.
Sure, that was Dr. Fauci saying that today. So just like with the H1N1, as the vaccine was coming out, it came out in dribs and drabs. So I think some of our first shipments were like 20 doses or 25 doses, which made it very difficult in a big district to get it out. So it will ramp up slowly. And I would agree 100%. It's probably going to be pigeonholed to those frontline workers, and then probably to the next sensitive populations on the way down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to go into the details, but if the first one out happens to be one of what I would call novel vaccines, like the RNA vaccine coming out of where is it, Moderna, whatever. Okay, I think that one probably will be have issues regarding a wider use at first. It's going to take some experience and bigger testing. I'm mainly concerned about the flu, the standard flu, making things worse for the population in general in terms of vulnerability.
Yep.
And it's basically has to do with age and all the rest. But I just want to make sure it doesn't fall off our horizon either.
No, it's like I said, take a little bit of a breather, then probably right in the middle of July, figuring out all of these clinics will run.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Yep.
Okay, is there anything else, Jim, that you have for us?
No, I think that's it.
Anyone else have a question or comment for Jim? Okay. So I think all that we have left is approving minutes. We have a lot to approve. Do you want to, you don't have to stick around for that, I don't think, Jim, if you don't want.
Okay. If there's any other questions, I'm in the office, so shoot me a text or give me a call and I can pop back on.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good night, guys.
Good
night.
Thanks again, Jim.
Yep.
Can we do this as a big omnibus thing where we say a motion is made to approve all the minutes as indicated in the agenda for Tuesday, January the 23rd?
I could just read off all the dates and we can just vote on all of them. How about that? A one vote thing.
That's fine too.
Ah, okay.
I got as far as May 22nd, and then I realized there's got to be a better way to do this. I'm wondering if LCTV can put together like a transcript, like they do at town meeting when people are speaking, and then just call out who's speaking and things like that, like it does in our regular minutes, would just be sort of more automated and systemized, and then send that to Janet, and she can disperse them to us.
So from an LCTV perspective, we do not do that with town meeting. If that does happen, it is through a special thing through the clerk's office.
Do you have the capability?
No. Not to my knowledge. I could talk to my boss, but...
Yeah, that'd be great, because I feel like it would save Janet so much time and energy,
At this moment, I believe that we have not paid for that extra service, but I can ask Mark.
Yeah, we might have it in our budget. We can talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, so does that mean...
I would approve all the minutes up to, but not including May 22nd.
Okay. So I'm going to do... So there's 4 of us here. So I'm going to do the first 2, and then we'll do May 22nd. Oh, no, and then I'll do the first 2, and then all the rest separately. Okay? So let's vote to approve. I need a motion to approve minutes from May 12th and May 13th.
I wasn't present at the 12th. Can you hear me?
Okay, so Lisa, you can't do the 12th. So either Mike or Kevin, can you make a motion to approve the minutes from May 12th?
Motion, we approve the minutes from May 12.
Can we do May 13th also?
Approve the minutes, make a motion to approve minutes from May 13th.
I'll second.
Okay.
I did have a question about that, but it may be moot now because the question was about reopening and maybe it's not even appropriate anymore. Because my question was, there was some discussion about reopening and will there be screening temperatures taken, and there was discussion about businesses being responsible for their own reopening, and now we know with sector-specific protocols and best practices recommended by the state that was not available at that time of that meeting. So if we can add that into our motion to approve.
I'm fine with that.
So mine's fine.
Does someone want to make a second on that?
I'll second.
So
No,
moved.
okay, thank you. Okay, so Kevin, we'll do the roll call vote. Kevin,
Kevin Baker, yes.
Lisa,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Mike,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes. So now we will continue with the minutes from May 22nd, May 26th, May 27th, 6/1, 6/3, and 6/9. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for, I'm sorry, I didn't write down all the dates that you have.
May 22nd,
May 22nd,
May 26th,
May 26th,
May 27th,
May 27th,
June 1st,
June 1,
June 3rd, and June 9th.
June 3rd and June 9th, as entered and revised as requested.
Well, we haven't revised anything yet.
Well, I mean,
People that had comments,
yeah, there were,
I have a comment on June 1. So I'll approve the 21st, 23rd, 24th. I'll second that, but I have a question on the 6/1.
okay, you're going to approve, you don't have the right dates, Lisa, so we're going to approve the 22nd, 26th, and 27th.
Okay. I'll second that.
Okay. Let's take a roll call vote. Kevin, you're abstaining. Lisa,
I would vote no.
you would vote no, Kevin,
Yeah, Kevin Baker, no. Yeah.
for all of those?
Well, I stopped in May 22nd.
then you,
I feel
Right,
like there
so
was
you-
some.
how can you
I feel like
vote?
there was some like vital information. Well, I read them. I just think that we missed some things. And I would need to go back through the video and watch it to really call out the points that I'd like to be revised. So if you're comfortable with it, maybe we can postpone that one.
Which one, Kevin?
May 22nd.
Oh, on May 22nd. Okay. Let's take a vote on May 22nd singularly. Kevin, you're going to be a no.
Correct.
Lisa,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Mike,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
and Louise Nichols is a yes. Okay, now we will vote on May 26th, May 27th. Can someone make, so you guys,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for 5/26 and 5/27.
This is Mike, I'll second.
thank you. So Lisa Flanagan, we'll take a roll call vote.
Yes, Lisa Flanagan, yes.
Mike Zeldin,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
Louise Nichols, yes. And Lisa, do you want to let Janet know what your revisions are for June 1st, or is there something you want to talk about?
It was just a discussion. I think Mike commented on it. It was Kevin's motion to say that if the police were called for failure to comply with the restrictions at the beach would be closed. And Mike, I think, talked about making that more specific, like 3 strikes in a day, the beach is closed, or how long should it be closed for, a week or the season? So I don't think we really got specific on the restrictions and non-compliance and what we would do if people weren't complying. So I don't know if we want to rewatch that or have things changed. The phases, has it changed? It may not. That was a question about the punishment for not complying. Maybe now we don't need to discuss it anymore because we're on to another phase and maybe people are complying or
Yeah, is it a moot point? I don't know.
It is my understanding that the police department, the police chief, and felt that a lot of this was more. He wanted to approach it. I'll call it in summary, best judgment by the officer who happened to be there, because they don't have. I'm not sure how they've staffed the beach area, but my impression was instead of laying down some hard rules, he wanted to retain a certain amount of, shall we say, discretion on what constituted a non-compliance. And we're always in a position to get in touch with him, whether he shows at our meetings or not, and ask him what number of incidences he's been experienced, if any. And I also like to remind you that we deputized him as being the, as it were, to represent us, to be the, as it were, the agency that would enforce the requirements.
But I don't think and again, we were talking about closing the beach.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So we never really figured out what was gonna have to happen for the beach to close. So what I'm saying now is maybe because we're in a different phase, maybe everything has been relaxed a little bit. Maybe this is kind of a moot point to actually make a decision on what closing the beach is going to be like if we have to close it.
So, for one understanding, your question, what concerns you, yes, it does concern me, is that if there should be, shall we say, a small increase in the number of reported cases that are traced back to the beach. That's the most extreme, right?
Not exactly. We're just talking about the minutes. That the minutes we never.
No, I know that. I know that.
But we never really finalized on
Right.
how. Yes, whether it was going to be counts or whether it was going to be failure to comply.
Right.
How many times the police were called? What was the specific thing? And again, these are just minutes, so I'm not saying that we need to make a motion on what specifically is going to have to happen to close the beach. But the minutes we never got to. Anything specific.
But so I think what Mike is saying is that we discover that there are cases developing and the link is the beach, we could close it. Is that what you're trying to say, Mike?
What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing that stops us in a subsequent meeting. I'm not sure I'm reading Lisa right. I'm not sure I'm reading this right, but I don't think at this point tonight that we need to that we ought to have a discussion about what criteria we're going to establish for closing the beach.
Right. No, I'm just talking about in the minutes, we never.
Correct.
We need to revisit.
That. I would agree. Because I agree with you, Lisa.
Never got specific about why we were going to close the beach if we had to. So that was the only thing I had to comment about the June 1st meeting. Minutes.
Okay, well, let's close the loop right now. So Janet, we can close it and she can revise the minutes and we can move on. So
no, she doesn't have to revise the minutes. It was just that she can revise it if we want to discuss what is going to take to shut the beach, what things are going to happen. So that would be, counts, that would, non-compliance. It's a whole other discussion than maybe with Matt and, was it from the beach? Maybe it's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, there are lots of folks now involved in this who are on the beach and get called to the beach or may not be.
So it was just a comment I had on the minutes that
How about if we just make it subject to the revision that the criteria to be established at a subsequent meeting?
Mhm. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Put that on the agenda.
Yeah, just put, yeah. Revise that, not revise, but add it to the minutes and then have that on our agenda for another meeting. Yeah.
Has anybody
Okay,
heard?
so
Sorry, anybody hear how the beach is running? I went down there the other day and it was after.
Lisa, can we just finish the
Yep,
minutes,
sorry.
please? Because it's been weeks. Sorry. All right. So let's vote on June 1st somebody make a motion for June 1st, please.
This is Mike. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of June 1
As
revised.
With a discussion with people
yeah.
on how, yeah. I'll second.
Thank you. Kevin, you're abstaining, correct? Kevin, I'll just do the roll call. Kevin Baker,
Abstaining.
Mike Zeldin,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
Lisa Flanagan,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes. And then we have left is June 3rd and June 9th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 3 and the minutes for June 9th.
I'll second.
Okay. Kevin Baker,
Abstaining.
Mike Zeldin,
Mike Zeldin, yes.
Lisa Flanagan,
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
and Louise Nichols, yes. Oh my gosh, we did it. Okay. Lisa, you wanted to bring up the beach.
For another meeting, for a meeting that maybe we can have Tim at and see how things are going.
Okay, we can ask him to come to the next meeting. Kevin, go ahead, Lisa.
I also wanted to, we had that PFAS discussion a couple weeks ago. The water department had that video. And I don't know if we ever finished discussing private wells and notification. So that might be something that we want to revisit at another meeting too.
Mike brought it up and I was like, oh yeah, I was going through my notes too and saw that. So it is on Janet's going to put it on our agenda for our next meeting.
And then, this is my last thing, Janet, anything about first of all, there was a pond side issue that Jim, actually he's left now. Jim was going to go back and check with pond side. And then Janet, anything on the horse barn, Concom or fire?
Nothing from them. I will get in touch with them both tomorrow and see. Both of them felt it was not going to be in their jurisdiction at all.
Okay. All right.
This is Mike. I'd like to make sure that pond side question is pursued. That's been a persistent problem there. And I don't know, just don't understand why management there is having such a hard time coming into compliance. This has been going on for months.
Should we have, we could ask Jim to come back on. Want me to text him?
I just text him and ask him if he's done anything with pond side. I mean, it's just, and if he has, he has to come back on. If no, then, we can get back to him. It's just...
Okay. Give me a minute here. While you're waiting for me to text him, Kevin, can you report on, have you had another meeting with Park and Rec?
We have one coming up on the 30th.
I drove by the playground. Why are the barriers still up?
Yeah, I noticed that today. I drove by too. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I went by the beach the other day. I didn't notice the playground, but I did notice, and maybe they changed this after hours, but the parking lot was full. There were no longer half of the parking spots blocked off. But again, that could be after hours.
What time was that?
I don't know, 6, maybe last night at 6:30.
I thought we said 7:30.
I thought they closed at 6. No?
I don't know. I was reading the minutes, and I think that I don't know. I thought we had agreed on it would be until 7:30. Like the prime time was 2:30 to 7:30. I think those were the minutes I approved.
And so when is your next meeting, Kevin?
The 30th.
Next Tuesday. So can you confirm those two things with them?
Absolutely.
Actually, that's a long way to wait for the playground.
Yeah. Are you going to Yeah, maybe I'll touch base with Alicia, and I'll just forward you her email as she responds. She's pretty
Thank
responsive.
you.
So.
Thank you. Okay, I texted Jim. I have not heard yet back from him. Anything else that we need to talk about?
Sorry, I'm late. Are we meeting tomorrow night too? Because I had it down as Wednesday.
This is our last Tuesday night.
Okay.
And so next week, July 1st, we will be every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock.
Alternating COVID and regular.
Right.
Okay. And when is town hall opening? Any idea, Janet? Are we going to keep doing the Zoom for a little while?
Yes, the public may be allowed towards the end of July, but only by appointment. So there's no date even that we're going back necessarily. It's still a couple weeks out. So, but the public will not be allowed in with us. So for quite a while. So I don't know when we'll resume real meetings.
Okay, and our meeting room is changing, correct, Janet?
Well, I don't know, with the money freeze in town hall, I don't know exactly when they'll start construction, so we'll be able to continue in 307 until they start construction in the room. So that date's up in the air as well.
Okay. I'm just going to go try and call Jim and see if I can reach him because he's not answering my text, okay? I'll be right back.
Sure. I think we have people in the audience. I think we have folks in the audience, public. I don't know if anybody wants to.
I caught Jim and he is going to be coming back.
Okay, wonderful.
So we'll just give him a few minutes to log back in. Janet, do we have any raised hands from the attendees or?
We do not.
Okay. Anything, I think that's it for anything I have.
If you guys want to take it with Jim, offline, just report back at the next meeting.
He's coming on, it looks like.
He just came in.
Hello?
Jim, thank you for coming back.
Yep.
So, was it you, Lisa, that had the question
There was
about?
a pond side, issue that you were gonna get in touch, you were gonna, check into, Jim?
So I shot an email to Dave Boyer, who's the gentleman at the state who handles the wastewater treatment plants. They've all been working from home, so they haven't had access to all their databases. But typically they review all those, they call them DMRs, and then they'll get in touch with the facility about compliance issues after that. So I assume once they're back in the office, that's what they'll be doing.
This is Mike. The issue with Pondside has been going on for a while.
Yep.
And I guess what concerns me is the attitude or position by I'll just use the term, the management. So how much, shall we say, persuasive power does this particular agency have to, as it were, make sure that the residents of that facility are protected?
So I think with the discharge standards, it's more your municipal water that you want to make sure it's protected. So I haven't had a chance to look at any of the reports because I haven't been working in that office. But if there's a number of the reports, I am more than happy to kind of pull them together. I'll scan and email them, and I can send them to Dave Boyer and say, hey, look, this is what the board's concerned about.
The only reason I was bringing up is because I've gotten more than 2 or 3 inquiries, all of which were consistent. So, I mean, I can't do anything. So I'm not going to try to represent it as, the
No, absolutely.
Russian and save that, it's just that they're consistent and they didn't know about the other folks who reported it or who experienced it.
So when you say, are you talking about these, the treatment plant reports, Mike?
No, I'm talking about there have been persistent problems with, first of all, there were persistent problems with odor, and also pools of liquid or water. Also distinguishing between the smell of the pond and whatever else is coming, which is identified as, various people simply call it sewer water smell, as opposed to pond water smell. Okay.
So are these residents or is this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the first I'm hearing of this part of it. So do you have a specific email or something like that? I'm more than happy to go down and take a look at it.
All I have are phone calls. And since I have no authority or anything of this sort, I basically asked them to get in touch with, Janet. The difficulty is that I believe that this is I'll call it a rental facility.
Yes.
And I'll call it's one of the few examples, I guess, of mixed housing we've got in Littleton. And I guess the residents, there are other issues at that facility, at Pondside, having to do with how rules are followed and all the rest. So it's not as simple as, if a resident complains, the resident may feel, as it's communicated to me, that there is a difficulty that will arise from the management if they did.
So I have done housing inspections there, and when people call me, I go out and do the housing inspections and address them with management. I'm more than happy. Again, if there's some specific areas where there's a concern, if there's specific times of the day where there's odors, I'm more than happy to go out and talk with management, make the inspections. Again,
Yeah.
I'm in town, so I have no problem if those issues are occurring. Kind of bringing the state to bear on this, saying, "Hey, look at." Not only are we seeing the DMR reports that you were mentioning, but we're also seeing issues potentially with if it's discharging to the surface of the ground.
Yeah, Jim, I have no idea what's going on, and I wouldn't even try to put the pointed questions to any of the folks talking to me. It's just that it just struck me as odd. This is just me complaining. It struck me as odd that this has been going on at this particular facility since November. So
this is the first I'm hearing of odors there or
yeah, okay,
ponding there. So I don't know if you want to have those people who talk to you, Mike, give me a call so I can kind of
okay.
So,
Okay.
particularly with the odor complaints, it's
Sure.
helpful to know whereabouts the odor complaint's happening, what
Okay.
time of day it's happening, because I
Okay.
can then try to narrow it down. If it's
Okay.
happening due to certain atmospheric conditions, like you get kind of a heavy cover of clouds, sometimes the chimney effect on vents in your house or vents on the plant kind of dump smell down onto the ground. So these are issues. I mean, if I could chat with the people, I'm more than happy to.
Given its location and near that particular body of quote water unquote, I can understand. Thanks a lot. I'll have them contact you if when and if I hear from them again.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Jim. I'm sorry to bother you with this.
Oh no, not a problem. Like I said, I hadn't heard complaints about. I guess maybe I misunderstood when we were talking before. I thought they were the treatment plant reports that were an issue.
Oh yeah, it's what started it. That to me was the official, as it were, notation about the issues over there.
Okay.
This is just I thought that the residents were complaining more or less along the same lines, but has to be sorted out by professionals. So I'll make sure that they call you.
Okay. No, like I say, that way there I can narrow it down and try to hone into where the issue is.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Alrighty.
Excuse me, Jim.
Yep.
Is that right in the aquifer?
It's probably on the edge of your zone too.
Okay.
So
Is there a fine for that if they're in failure or non-compliance for a certain amount of time?
So again, that's a DEP permit, and they obviously work with them if they're out of compliance to get them back into compliance. But DEP can certainly fine them if they're out of compliance.
I wonder if the Littleton Board of Health could impose a fine if they're, say, out of compliance for 3 or more months and best efforts haven't been made to correct the issue.
I can certainly ask the state that. I don't know of a mechanism, since we don't have a permit there, a mechanism to do that.
It'd be a regulation, local reg.
Yeah, if you had a local reg, maybe that would be the mechanism to do it.
Because then we could pay for the transcripts of the minutes for the meetings.
Jim, could you, do you want to wait until Mike gets another phone call, or you want to go down there and maybe you can just
This week might be a good week to go down and see if the air's kind of heavy, see if we're getting odors. So I can certainly drive through. And once I do that, I can have a chat with the management.
Yeah, I would appreciate that since it's been going on so long. Let's see if we can find out something.
Sure.
Maybe there'd be some residents outside and willing to chat to you.
Okay.
And Jim, I appreciate you coming back on.
Not a problem.
Thanks.
Anything else for Jim? Okay.
Thank
we're
you,
all
Jim.
set.
Alrighty.
Thank you,
Yep.
Jim.
I'll talk to you later.
Any other items to discuss for our
I'd like to
meeting
make a
tonight?
motion. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll
Mike,
second.
I'll second. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay,
Mike
so
Zeldin,
we'll do the
second.
roll call. Do the roll call to adjourn the meeting. Kevin?
Kevin Baker, yes.
Mike?
Mike Zeldin, yes.
Lisa?
Lisa Flanagan, yes.
And Louise Nichols, yes. Thanks, everybody. See you next
Thank you.